I am sharing some of my book recommendations, some of the books that I've read and why I like them. And it's always very difficult for me to choose books because I have so many and I don't know why I would choose this one instead of another one. So first of all, I decided what would be the theme of the books that I would select. So I decided that it would be something related to healing and vulnerability. I chose 3 books and I would like to share them with you. First one, It Didn't Start With You. It's a book by Mark Wolynn. This book talks about intergenerational trauma, inherited trauma, how inherited family trauma shapes who we are. And when we understand who we are because of that intergenerational trauma, inherited family trauma, then we can end the cycle. It's a fantastic book. It also comes together with practices, with exercises that you can do. When I was reading that book, I was actually going through my father's family tree, and I was having lots of conversations with him, with relatives, trying to see what is under the surface. And it was so revealing for me in order to understand why my father or my family or me and my sister, why we were carrying some of the, let's say, behaviors that we wouldn't understand why we're carrying. Depression, anxiety, chronic pain, phobias, obsessive thoughts, they can sometimes be explained because of the traumas, not of our traumas, but the traumas of our parents, grandparents, and even great grandparents. And sometimes the roots of these issues can be back then, not now. But for some reason, we are carrying it as if that is the only way we can connect with our roots, as if there's an unfinished business, as if there are unspoken words or unfelt feelings from these people back then, and we are still carrying the task for them. It's amazing the way that Mark explains all these, and he's also bringing a lot of evidence from research about traumatic experiences that they are passed to future generations. And he's doing that in a very, simple language, and he's trying to bring insights. Actually, he's not trying to blame anybody, but he's trying to bring insights in our lives about why we behave the way we behave, why we feel the way we feel, why we sabotage our lives the way we sabotage them sometimes. Highly recommended. I love that book. Talking about vulnerability and healing, you know how much I love talking about loneliness and exploring loneliness. It's unfortunately one of the topics and feelings that are not so much explored and talked about. So, one of my favorite authors, Brené Brown, who has devoted her career into exploring shame and vulnerability. So, in this book, Braving the Wilderness, she's talking about loneliness and the quest for true belonging. She knows how difficult it is to feel lonely. He knows how difficult it is to stand alone, but she doesn't call it difficult. She calls it courageous. Of course, in her talk about vulnerability, she's trying to talk about true belonging, what it means to belong in a true, in a deep, in an authentic way. We are bombarded with social media, with followers and likes and friends, and still it doesn't feel like we have friends. It doesn't feel like we are connected. The connection that we are seeing through social media feels like we need to do a lot of things in order to get that connection. We need to change who we are. But Brené says, no, true belonging doesn't require us to change who we are. It requires us to be who we are. She's talking about 4 elements of true belonging, and I'm going to give you just a sneak peek. One element is, and it's not an element, you will see what I mean. It's just a phrase that she explains this element. People are hard to hate, close up, move in. Second, speak truth to bullshit, be civil. 3, hold hands with strangers. 4, strong back, soft front, wild heart. When she explains how to get out of your comfort zone in order to find true belonging, you cannot find belonging just being with the familiar. When you talk to strangers, or when you don't just stay in what other people show, That's why she says people are hard to hate close up. Just move closer, because everybody is afraid to show the true self. Move closer and see what they're hiding behind this perfectionistic mask or all these ideal image that they're putting up. Highly recommended as well. And my third recommendation is maybe you should talk to someone. And you know why this is a book that is being shared under the umbrella of vulnerability and healing? Because this is written by a therapist talking about her therapist. So instead of keeping this facade that therapists have everything put together and they are in control and they know everything, no, she actually dares to present herself as imperfect, vulnerable, scared, to reveal part of yourself, and actually to show how it feels to be in therapy while being a therapist. So, isn't that vulnerability plus healing? It is. If you're wondering, if you're in therapy and you're wondering what your therapist is thinking and what their life look like, that's the book. It is a very beautiful book because she's putting all this together in a very humorous way. And you know that I love humor. And it's a story of an incredible relationship between two therapists, between two people, actually, two human beings. So, highly recommended as well. If you're a bookworm like me, I think you're going to love them. And if you also value mental health and you're also in your journey of self exploration, self growth, and healing, I think these are the books to go to or to start this year. Let me know what kind of book you're looking for, and I'm here to give you my 2 cents. Thank you very much for being here and take good care.